Hello, lovely friend. I am Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
We are doctors
and weight management and metabolic health experts.
and this is the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast.
Good morning, lovely friend. Dr. Lucy here with another episode of the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast, and joined by my spectacular co-host and friend and colleague, Dr. Mary. Hello, Dr. Mary. How are you this morning?
I'm very good, lovely, lovely Dr. Lucy. I have got 2 broken toes in our household.
Oh.
I fractured my 3rd toe, just stubbing my foot at my son's gymnastics. It was so lame. And my poor daughter has a stress fracture from dancing all the time. So sore toes. But other than that, we're okay.
Yes. Well, it is interesting, isn't it, that we can injure ourselves sometimes, too much of a good thing. We all know that exercise, movement, all of that is wonderful. But every now and then the body just goes, you know what, that's actually a bit too much.
No, had enough of this now. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So this week we thought we'd talk about some barriers to change. So most of you lovely friends out there know that our thing that we do is we help women improve their metabolic health by teaching in particular not just what to do, but how to do it. So how to do it when you get stuck. And I think getting stuck in the mud is probably the biggest thing that people struggle with. They're sort of waiting for the switch. I hear this a lot. I just need a switch, Lucy. Can you help me flick the switch? And look, to be honest, we actually can, because the switch is all just up in our head. It's a mind switch. But understanding sometimes our barriers in the first place can be helpful.
Yes. And having multiple tools in your toolbox to getting through them so that you can just keep going. Because life is so imperfect, and I'm imperfect and you're imperfect, Dr. Lucy, and we're always going to be imperfect and do things imperfectly. But we need to be able to keep going, even through the inevitable imperfections of life. And I think that you and I have got reasonably well-stocked mental toolkits for doing this, so we could talk about our barriers. Might be a good thing to do.
Absolutely. And in fact, the first barrier that came up then was the word imperfect. When you said to me, I'm imperfect, you're imperfect, my brain goes, I'm not imperfect. How very dare you? How very dare you say that? I'm perfect. I try to be perfect. And so it's so interesting, isn't it, that even that word perfect. And I remember I learned guitar when I was in grade 6, and I was hopeless at it, really hopeless. But the guitar teacher used to say, practice doesn't make perfect unless you practice perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So there's...
That sounds hard.
Yeah. Well, I think it just highlights, I'm 57 now. I was 12 or something. So, close to 50 years of stories around perfectness.
Oh, yes. I have got lots of stories in my head about all of the ways in which I fall short of perfect. And I have that perfectionism in me. In some ways, it's a strength to sort of strive and do better, to aim high. But in many ways, it's a liability. And I think that in the realm of health, that perfectionism in particular is a liability. And just because of that feeling that we're going to throw it all in if we can't do it perfectly, but we're never going to be able to do it perfectly. And so if we can't do it perfectly, then we won't do it at all, is just going to keep us so stuck to the point of paralysis.
Totally. And this is the thing, perfectionism sneaks in, because in my brain, I'm not perfect I'm not neat. So in my brain, perfect was sort of neat, like it was neat. And so I used to think, well, I'm not neat. I don't have neat handwriting. At school, I was never one of those kids that could do neat drawings. It's just colour outside the lines. I couldn't do neat margins. My desk was never neat. My bedroom was never neat. My car was never neat. And so therefore, I didn't recognise that perfectionism was one of my things. But it shows up in really unusual, well, not that unusual, but it shows up in subtle ways. And I think, one of the classic for me was always the idea that I needed a clear run to get started. So I had to wait until after the holiday, or wait until after my exams, or wait until after I had been to book group this week on Thursday, so I would start Friday. There was always something I was waiting for to get started.
Absolutely. It's the classic, I'll start on Monday. I'll start on January 1st. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we've got, sort of these general barriers, but, I thought this episode you and I might share some of our own personal barriers and maybe they'll help somebody out there.
Yeah, I reckon that's a great thing. I reckon I might like to start, though, by just defining, I guess, what my goals are, like what it is that I want for my health and, my life, I think. So for me, the definition of healthy is to be metabolically well and to have good energy, to have, presence for the things that are important in my life, to be able to have the strength and energy to pursue the things that are important and to be able to have that hope for the future. I am training for menopause. Have not yet hit menopause. Menopause is for life, but I have not yet gone through that transition. But when I do, I really want to be able to do it as healthily as I can. So I'm gaining muscle and I'm keeping myself healthy. So essentially, it really is all about being healthy on the inside. That's it. Healthy on the inside so that I can live life according to my values and goals with energy and vigor. That's what I'm aiming for. So it's as much less emphasis on aesthetics and weight loss that I used to have, in my younger years.
Absolutely. I think the key is optimizing what you've got. So some of us have been dealt a slightly shit hand. And the thing is that you can take your crap hand and just go, oh, well, I can't do this, so therefore I'm going to do nothing. Bit of perfectionism in there. Or I can't do this, and that becomes your dominant paradigm, or that won't work for me. But when we go, well, these are the cards we're dealt, we just have to play them to the best of our ability, then that's when things shift a bit.
That's right. And none of us get a perfect hand. Most of us got some slightly shit hands, but some of us have definitely been dealt much shittier cards than others. But you're still in charge of your own story. Everything that goes on inside your head, you own it all. You get to assign meaning to it, and you can assign the meaning, well, it's too hard, I can't do it. Or you can assign the meaning of, let's figure out what I can do.
Indeed. And I think that is absolutely the key, rather than focusing on what we can't or focusing on losses or focusing on the negatives. And again, our brain will go there. It's its automatic default. We have to be aware of that. And if we constantly, or if we just develop that awareness and then we shift it, we spend so much time shifting it, over time, the shift becomes your default.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yes. And the needle can start to move. I mean, should I talk about the barriers that I have?
Sure.
Okay. So, and I'm not suggesting that my cards are shittier than anyone else's. I'm just going to talk about me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not the worst card, worst deck competition. Who's got the worst deck of cards competition?
Definitely not. No. I love my full life, but emphasis on the fact that it is very full. So I'm a solo mum to two kids aged 3 and 12, and they are both delightful handfuls. I live off grid in this little farmhouse where I have to sort of manage all of my own fuel management and chopping wood and managing generators. I've got 2 elderly parents that I help look after quite intensively. I juggle lots of roles. I'm a GP. I'm a business owner with a fabulous Dr. Lucy. I do urgent care work and I look after my family. It's a high intensity work schedule. I've, financially totally responsible. I'm totally responsible for the kids. I'm mostly responsible for my parents. I'm partly responsible for this farm. I've also got a dog, and I'm vulnerable to emotional and mental fatigue from all of this. So that's kind of my reality.
Oh, and let's not, forget the genetic lottery that you've been dealt.
Oh, of course. Yes. So yes, a full deck of insulin resistance genes. So I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is in remission really. But I've been struggling from my weight since I was 8 years old. I've got like a lifetime of stories about weight struggles and weight loss and fat shaming. That's all in there. Both my parents have type 2 diabetes. I'm one of those people that gains weight extremely easily and loses it with extreme difficulty. So that, and also if I did not look after my metabolic health, I would be looking at, diabetes, stroke, dementia, heart attacks, like all of that would be in my future without a concerted effort to preserve and look after my metabolic health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's a barrier that you and I both share to some degree, which is, an ADHD diagnosis.
Yes, my beautiful brain. Talk about strengths and liabilities. Whew, should spend a bit of time in my head, just hear everything that's going on. Yes. So you talked about being neat. Whoa. I am not a neat person. I'm creative and clever and could do all kinds of cool stuff, but no, not neat. And that is definitely a struggle. I need to find ways to work with this fabulously chaotic instrument that is my brain, rather than just wishing it was different and railing against it and throwing up my hands and saying it's all too hard. Because ADHD does make things harder. It does.
It does. And for those people out there wondering, well, how does it make it harder? So people with ADHD are very good at winging it, which is why I think part of the reason why why we're doing a podcast about 3 days before it's actually due to be released. So we are good at winging it. We are good at, as you mentioned, creativity. We're good with ideas. Part of the, the imperfection in some ways is whilst I had diet perfectionism, and you did too, that was a story we'd been conditioned to believe, but neither of us have action perfectionism when it comes to, say, running our business. So we just go, oh, we've got to do this and we'll just do it.
That's right. Really lends itself to that like growth mindset of just having a go, and we can learn things really quickly when we find it interesting. So we know that we can learn, and so we're willing to learn. There are definite strengths, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are parts of having a brain like this that are really hard. And some days my brain just feels like sometimes it's amazing and some days it feels like it's rubbish. And there are barriers there, like for being healthy, for like being able to remember to do the things that are going to be useful, for not getting sidetracked, to be able to fit them in. Like there are definite barriers.
Oh, yeah. Totally. And a complete example today was that I'm texting you going, I'm in the podcast studio, where are you? And it turned out that actually we had initially scheduled it for tomorrow. But
since we're both really nimble, we're like, well, turns out I actually do have time, so let's do it today.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, flexibility is helpful. But the barriers, I guess, are planning. So meal prepping, all those people that do meal prep, that they've got those lovely neat pantries with neat fridges. They do shopping lists. They plan their meals in advance. I used to think, why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? It seems so obvious. And when someone tells it to you, you go, yeah, I know. Like, honestly, it's not sort of rocket science. But I just found it really hard to do.
I find it hard sometimes. With me and meal prepping, there are times when I'm totally into it and I am extremely happy to plan and prep and buy, and that's great. And there are times when I'm not. But when I'm in that meal prepping mode, I really ride it, and I make extra, do double batches of casseroles and stews and curries and meatballs, and freeze the extras, little Sharpie, write the date on it in the freezer. Fabulous. And there are times when I just really can't be bothered. And those times I can eat my frozen food, or, I've just got strategies and tactics for when that's the case, and just keeping it really simple. All you need is some meat and veggies. And I've got an Our Cow subscription, which is just a meat subscription. So I've always got some meat in the bottom of my fridge, in the little sealed up packs, and I can just take it out, just grill the steaks, fry the mince, defrost the frozen veggies, meal done. These are tactics I've developed to just make sure that food is always easy. Making health doable is the most important way that I overcome the barriers. The food is doable. It's easy. Reducing all the barriers that I can. I do the same thing with exercise. I do the same thing with stress management. I just want to make it doable.
Yeah. And as we said, it certainly doesn't have to be perfect. But what happens is sometimes our brain will go, oh, it's too hard. And particularly these days, there are companies out there, aka Uber Eats, who are very happy to prey upon your vulnerability of tiredness or, just task fatigue. So for me, a bit like you, look, honestly, Mingle has been the biggest saver of my life because it adds interest to food. And again, all of us, we all like food that's interesting. People get bored eating the same thing every day in, day out, but you can make almost the same thing taste completely different with just different spice flavors.
Totally.
Yeah. So for me, that's been like, yay. And again, Mingle don't do a subscription. I think they should. I think that would be really,
that's a good idea.
I know, because otherwise I sort of wait till, I'll just get them from the supermarket, particularly when they're on special. I'll always stock up so that I've got, everything from the Mexican to the Sri Lankan curry to the Thai green curry, whatever it is, whatever flavors float your boat. I sound like an ad.
So we're not getting anything else, I promise. This is not sponsored content.
No, we have no shares. We have no shares, but they just make life easy, and you can use them in different ways. So it doesn't have to be a curry or, a taco bowl. You can sprinkle it on air fried chicken cubes and whack it in a salad. Like, that's my other favorite meal.
Totally. Yes, it's easy. A similar strategy that's been really helpful for me is with fitness. So I used to be like back before kids, I would spend literally hours swimming. I would spend literal hours in the gym. I would, really, really loved exercise and found it such a helpful way to manage my life, my health, my brain. But nowadays I just can't do that. That is not feasible. So there's a little story in my head. It was like, well, I can't go to the gym for an hour. Therefore, I just won't do anything. And that's obviously going to be extremely counterproductive, as gaining muscle mass and maintaining muscle mass is going to be so important for my health, for my training for menopause, and, to make sure that I stay fit and healthy for the rest of my life. So I have embraced little movement snacks, just making it easy. I've got some of those little stretchy bands here in my not particularly neat and tidy office, and I could do some single leg, bridges. I could do wall push-ups. When I'm out at the playground with the kids, I do sort of not actual chin-ups, but like sort of half chin-ups. I will do push-ups. I will just use the gym equipment to work out my muscles in a way that works pretty well. I've got a weighted vest, so I have to walk my doggy. That's just something I have to do. So I'll chuck on my weighted vest and go for a little walk. Just making these little kind of movement snacks really throughout the day has been really helpful for me to improve my strength, and it's just getting better and better. It's especially important since I got an injury be about 2 years ago now. I had a CSF leak, and as part of the management for that, I had about almost 4 months on and off bed rest. And my goodness me, did I lose an enormous amount of strength in that time. And it's taken me many, many, many months to sort of get it back. And that has really brought home just the importance of that as a part of my health routine.
Absolutely. So this is something that I want to just have a little talk about. Is you mentioned that you love exercise, but I know I hate exercise. And there are lots of people whose brain goes, I hate exercise. Like, they hate it. So the thing is that sometimes what their brain is waiting for is for them to love it. But here's a newsflash, folks. That's never going to happen. You're never going to love it. So you just have to do it anyway. Like, this is the thing. Humans are designed to move. Now, again, the story in my head can be, and often is, well, I've got muscular dystrophy and my movement, it's less and less. And honestly, every time I hear about frailty scores and about, I see Instagram or TikTok reels where, if you can't get off the floor, then you're likely to die an early death. So I'm thinking, righto.
It's a punch in the chest, Lucy.
Yes, yep. Absolutely. Where's my cemetery plot? I'll just go and hop in there now, because I sure as hell won't be able to get out of it once I'm in. But here's the thing, again, I could go down that doom and gloom and go, well, that's it, I'm done for. Might as well give up and might as well eat all the things. But what I keep trying to do is bring it back to well, what can I do and what can I still do? And I can still swim. And look, it's not easy. Like, it isn't easy. Everything about it is hard. The biggest barrier is accessibility in many places. If I'm at home, it's fine. If I'm at most public pools, it's accessible. But if I'm at a holiday place, like a resort or something, most of their pools are not accessible and I can no longer get in and out. So that's a bit annoying and somewhat can feel defeating. But at the end of the day, I just have to do what I can do. Like, there's nothing, I can't magic it. I can't magic it better. I can't magic the pools. I can't magic the world. I just have to accept what I can change, accept what I can't change and focus on the things that I can do. So, yeah, I don't wait to love swimming. I quite, once I'm in, depending on the day, again, sometimes the pools are cold, and I'm also going to say once I'm in, I'll love it, but that's rubbish as well. Half the time once I'm in, I hate it. I can't wait to get out. But sometimes once I'm in, I go, oh, this is good. And, and particularly if it's a lovely day and the pool's reasonably warm and I'm looking up at the sky and I can see birds moseying by or clouds or, just giving me time to think. And the thing that it does do, that there is never a time where I get out of whatever pool I happen to have flopped myself into and wish I didn't do it.
Yes.
Never. There are times where I go, oh, that was amazing, and, I kind of loved it a bit more, but I never get out and go, God, I wish I'd just sat on my chair.
So how do you get there, though? What is some of the ways in which you cultivate that grit to overcome it's hard, I don't want to do it?
Yeah, so I recognize that when my brain starts making up a little story of doing it later, so for me, the earlier in the day I can do it, the better. The story used to be, I'll wait until the pool warms up. I'll wait until it gets sunnier. And every now and then I'm then out swimming at 8 o'clock at night where the pool, where it's dark and it's no longer warm. So that I recognize is not a good story for me. As soon as that pops up, I think, I will do everything in my power, especially if I'm on holiday and I actually have no commitments, to just go now, just do it now. So the earlier the better is a great mantra. I think getting it out of the way, if you've got a task that you don't like, then putting it off doesn't help you one single bit.
No. And grit, it's a learned skill, isn't it? I think that you can get grittier with practice. And grit is one of the single most important factors for success in whatever field. So success in achieving your health goals, success in whatever. If you can cultivate that grit, like you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway, then you're more likely to succeed. We need to make it as easy as we can. We need to make it as doable as we can. We need to make it as obvious as we can. We need to remove as many of the barriers as we can, but we're not going to ever remove all the barriers. So just being a bit gritty is required, and that gets better with practice.
Oh, absolutely. When I was up at Rainbow, where we have a place up at Rainbow Beach in Queensland, and it's lovely. Our place is across the road from the beach. And so there was a time when I thought, right, I'm going to go and see the sunrise. But it involves it involves some steps. Obviously, I can't just magic myself to the beach. So I have to get out of bed. I have to get out of bed before the sun's up. You cannot see a sunrise once it's over. So step 1, yes, get up before the sunrise. Step 2, put some clothes on. And again, I don't want to harp on about this, but having a disability means that getting dressed it's not as easy as it used to be. There were things I took for granted all the time that I no longer do, because every single step in my life, I now have to consciously think so that I don't trip over, so that I don't fall over, blah, blah, blah. It gets a bit boring. But so, all right, so you have to get dressed. So, and I have to get out of the house. So what I do now is I get up. I've got my scooter next to my bed. I've got the clothes that I'm going to wear over to the beach on the scooter. So I literally get up, put the clothes on, put my coat on, quickly go to the toilet, and then scoot out the door. And so then I'm over there, honestly, half the time before my eyes are even. So I don't stop and have coffee first or any of that stuff. Like, that's just putting it all off. And in fact, I think it's actually another great benefit, because, there is some research around delaying your coffee, but that's another podcast. And so, so I just made the right thing easy.
Yes. And you also kind of pre-decided, which is good. So you made the decision, day before, I'm going to go get this lovely morning sunlight. It's going to be great for me, metabolic health, mindset. And you made the decision and you prepped everything. So all the visual clues were there, and you just sort of did it without even having to decide again. Because decisions are exhausting. We want to just limit the amount of decisions we have to make.
Oh, absolutely. And my brain, every morning it would wake up and go, oh, do you really want to get up? And, so it asks the question, surely you want to stay in bed. I don't know. It's like, who is this person talking to me? But the answer is, yeah, I'm getting up. So, yeah, I am. Like, I'm just doing it. So, a little Nike tick in my brain.
I love it. That's so good. You just do it. And you've stacked it to other things as well, like, getting up and getting dressed, which is great. That's something that really helps me and my brain is if I have the shoulds floating around unattached, I should put on my weighted vest and go for a walk. I should prep that meal. I should do some meditation. Then they can just sort of float around all day and not get done until the end of the day. And then I can feel bad about that. So instead, like pinning them or stacking them to something that I already do is really helpful. So, the weighted vest is stacked to walking the dog. With that, I'm not going to not walk her. That's just something that has to happen. And I've got my little exercise bands here and I literally have to walk over them to go to get myself a cup of tea. And so that's just like a little cue to myself, pick up the exercise bands, do 12 bridges and just do them and then drink your tea, like just stacking them to things because I am going to drink my tea. That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. And there's so many mindset little things that we can do. But yeah, I think you elucidated it perfectly with the concept of you need to make a commitment. So you make a time, a plan in your head, you pre-decide. Just hoping that you'll get up to watch the sunrise, means it'll never happen. Just hoping you might get a bit of strength training in means it'll never happen. You have to make a conscious decision at some point that this is what you're going to do. And then the commitment to it is easier if you have really decided that you're going to do it. So there's no half-assing because the thing that happens sometimes, and this happens to all of us, is we'll have the back and forth. Surely I don't want to get out of bed. And the part of the reason is that our brain, leans into pleasure and away from pain. So it's obviously way more pleasurable to be lying in bed than getting up at before the crack of dawn, putting on puffing, jackets because it's cold. It's not actually warm yet. Or it's obviously more pleasurable to sit on the couch than to put on your weighted vest and take the dog out. So we have to just recognize that our brain will offer us that. But the brain is like a waiter. You don't have to take it. So you go, oh, okay. Oh, isn't that interesting? My brain's offering me the comfort solution, but we know that actually, like everything, too much comfort is not that good for us. And that we can do things that are a bit harder and we can use grit and we can do, harder things.
Yes. And when we do, we feel so good and our life is better and our health is better and we're moving the dial closer and closer towards our goals. So there's so much to celebrate and it's doable. It is.
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly right. The sort of second part of the story is that we need to reflect on how we feel when we've done what our brain is telling us is the hard thing, because then we bring the reward of doing the hard thing closer. So if our mind thinks, oh, well, if I go for a walk, that's going to stop me getting Alzheimer's in 50 years' time, the brain will go, I couldn't give a shit about that. Like, honestly, who cares? I'd rather lie in bed. Whereas if we can bring it to, I'll go for a walk, and when I go for a walk, I'll feel so good and I'll notice how, the air moves in my lungs and I'll notice how my muscles feel and I'll notice the trees and I'll, look at my dog wagging and I will feel happy. We bring it really close.
Yes. And then that helps rewire those new neural pathways. So our brain's more likely to want to chase that reward. And then, over time, and it doesn't actually take that much time, we start to wire in new habits. And that is beautiful. When things become habits, there's even less decisions that need to be made and even less decision fatigue, and things become even easier. Bring it back to, we still don't need to do this perfectly. So if you miss a day, you don't throw up your hands and go, oh, I have no grit and fall down. Instead, you just start again.
It's never too late to start again. It's never too late. I mean, you can start again the next day. You can start again the next hour. You can start again the next moment. There is plenty of opportunity to start again. It's never too late.
Yes. And listen to the stories in your head. Barriers are overcomeable. Well, you have to work with what you've got. What you've got is what you've got, and you can work with what you've got. Absolutely.
Wishing doesn't help. Wishing is useless. Let's stop wishing for something better, for something different. There is no wishing. What there is working with what you've got, working where you're at, and you just start.
Yes.
Good. All right. That's it for the pep talk, my friends. I'm looking forward to hearing how you go and wondering what change you're going to make. And at the end of the day, I know Nike, a big, horrible international corporation who probably exploit people all over the place, but their motto, the just do it, honestly, never a true word is said.
Yes, love it.
Okay, lovely friends. We will talk to you next week.
Bye now.
The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.